Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all well. Happy New Year. So, once again, thank you for taking your time to be with us in our third series of the UB Research Essential series, which we have started a few back. So this is a continuation of a series of training and workshops that we've been organizing in relation to research skills. So today's session and the sessions that is going to follow through for the next few weeks, as you can see from the screen, is going to further guide you step by step in mastering your research skills. Um, so if you see the screen, I hope you are able to see my screen here. We're going to start our session shortly. Today's session is very much focused on the tips and strategies on research. How do you manage your time and support services at UB, which will be facilitated by Ms. Shananda Hinse. And then following that, we have few other sessions that is going to come in the next few weeks. So please take the time to register and attend the sessions. Once you have registered, then you will get a copy of the presentation and also a copy of the recording of the session today. So please do come. If you think that you are not able to fully attend the full session, doesn't matter. But as long as you have registered, we will try to get the presentation accessible for you. So the session, just a reminder to everyone, the session is being recorded. All your mics are currently muted except for the presenters and the moderators so that we are able to manage the session much better. So if you have any question midway or during the presentation, please put your question in the chat, or please feel free to ask the question by raising your electronic hand in Zoom at the end of the presentation by the facilitator. So today's session is to focus on the research tips and strategies. So Ms. Shananda will actually take you through this presentation. So please feel free to ask the questions. If you have any issues in your current experience, I know there's a lot of students as well today in today's session. We had more than 90 over registered. I think more will be coming in as we progress. So I'm going to hand over the session now to Ms. Shananda to share her screen. So I will stop sharing my screen so that she is able to share the screen. So over to you, Shananda.
Thank you, Vic. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so welcome to today's session. And as Vic said, today's session will be about research tips and strategies. So we're going to look at defining a clear research question, which is, of course, the first step, a very important step to conducting a research project. We're also going to engage in ethical use of information, or how we should engage in ethical use of information during that research process. And I will also show you some time management tools that are available to you and library support services and resources that will indeed enhance your research process and experience. Firstly, what is a research question? A research question is a question by which you center your research around. Therefore, it must be clear, it must be focused, concise, complex. It cannot be something that can be answered with a yes or no, and arguable. Because the research question is so important to the research process, today we're going to talk about steps to developing a clear research question. And so your research question is what helps you as the writer to focus the research and avoid writing a paper that on the surface speaks generally about the topic as opposed to supporting a specific arguable statement or question. Step 1. Before you can construct a good research question, you will need to determine the requirements of your assignment. So this is your first step. What is the purpose of the assignment? Is it to test a proposition? Are you evaluating some set of data? Do you need to state and defend an argument? You want to ensure that you know the purpose and follow the instructions given. It's important that you're aware of the terms used. Sometimes in the instruction, and there are some resources out there where you can find the definition of these terms. Okay, terms such as analyze, evaluate, criticize. What do those specifically mean? And that will help you to choose the most appropriate topic and word for your questions in the most useful way. So it's also useful to consider your audience during this time. For most college papers, your audience will be academic, but always keep your audience in mind when you're narrowing your topic and developing the question. Would that particular audience be interested in the question that you come up with? Step 2 would be to choose an interesting general topic. So sometimes we're given a list of topics to choose from, or you can choose your own. When you're given a choice, choose a broad topic that you would generally like to know more about. If it's a directed academic research, you should focus on a topic in which you're somewhat personally invested. And that's because if you're interested in a topic, you're more likely to invest more time, effort, and creativity into your research and writing. Step 3, you want to conduct some preliminary research. So you want to do a few quick searches in current periodicals and journals on your topic to see what's already been done to help you narrow your focus. What questions does the earlier research or the research raise? During the preliminary research, your reading is in order to develop a research question as opposed to reading in order to answer it. So focus on the main ideas and arguments, and these are normally found in your introduction and conclusions. You don't need to read every word for word and take down extensive notes because you're going to come back to that later on in the research process. The library has a vast number of databases and subscriptions, and you're encouraged to use the library resources when you are conducting your research. So you would visit the library's website and pay specific attention to those resources listed under the reference tools area. Step 4 would be to narrow down your topic. So having conducted some preliminary research, you should now be in a position to narrow your topic down. In most cases, you're going to need to focus on specific issues or debate within that broader topic. And this is because it's more effective to cover a single issue or dimension of a topic in depth than to skim over several areas of a broader topic. And there are several ways that you may go about doing this. So obviously you're going to ask questions. Open-ended questions are best, the hows, the whys. You're going to think about subtopics, specific issues, key debates that exist within the broader topic. Think about the value also of focusing on a particular time period. Sometimes this is specified in the instructions. They may want you to look at a period of 10 years, maybe 5. Also, maybe a specific geographical location, a specific organization, or a group of people. So think about what you want to say in your assignment. What are the key points and arguments that you want to get across? Which subtopics and time frames or any other limitations you want to make these points in the most effective way. And there is a strategy that can be used. A nice example would be by by creating a spreadsheet with some columns, maybe 3. And so your first column can probably deal with broad topics. Your second column, potential subtopics and other limitations. And the third column, what you would do is speak to the potential value of those subtopics and limitations. As I spoke to the library's resources, under the reference tools area, there are a number of databases that can be used. I just want to draw your attention to Credo, which is one of those resources, and the mind maps that are available in Credo. So doing a typical search on research, what we see here is a mind map, and this shows you a number of subtopics that fall under the topic research. And so this may help as well when you're trying to determine subtopics. We also have limiters with now other resources like EBSCO and JSTOR, where subject headings, narrower and broader terms are available. You will hear more about these resources from the other librarians during the series this semester. Step 5 is where we get to write our question. And so the research question must outline a clear task that you need to complete. So after we've evaluated those questions in step 4, we want to realize whether or not they would be effective research questions. And so is the research question clear, with so much research available on any given topic, research questions must be as clear as possible to be effective. Is it focused? It must be specific enough to be well covered in the space available. And also, is it complex? Again, I mentioned that research questions should not be answerable with a simple yes or no or by easily found facts. Okay, instead, it should require both research and analysis on the part of the writer. So the research question must outline a clear task that you need to complete. Remember that you will need to keep the purpose of your assignment in mind when you're thinking about the wording of the question. And the purpose will differ from discipline. And so the purpose for an English assignment would definitely be different from that for a science or biology class, which would be more on the experimental side. So you again want to reference our first step, which would be determine the requirements. Okay. So in general, however, a good research question requires you to analyze an issue or problem. The how and why questions are therefore most useful. And other useful words that you might use or see in your instructions would be critique, argue, examine, and evaluate. So be sure you want to ask yourself what the instruction words are and what is expected from you. Okay. After you've come up with your question, think about what the path is you want your answer to take and where do you think your research will take you? What kind of arguments are you hoping to make or support? And what will it mean if your research actually disputes your planned argument? At this step, then you're well on your way to having a focused research paper, constructing your thesis, or actually writing out your paper. So you're going to engage then more in the research process. And when you do that, it is important to use the information that you would have gathered in an ethical manner. And what does that mean? You want to avoid plagiarism and you want to properly use and cite your references. So, what is plagiarism? And how should we or how do we go about avoiding it? If you use the words or ideas of another person as if it was your own word or idea, if you use another's production, be it an image, a video, music, without crediting that source, you're committing literary theft. You're presenting an original idea or product from an existing source as if it was new, that is considered plagiarism. Copying someone's work, citing a source improperly, it's not the same as stealing. It is. Stealing is stealing. Failure to cite a source, creating false sources because I don't want to go back and find out where I got this information to make sure I'm documenting it properly. Turning in another person's work as your own. That is what plagiarism looks like. And plagiarism may be intentional in to some degree, reckless because you just don't want to ensure that you're being accurate. And sometimes it's unintentional. However, knowing what it is, it's important that we avoid doing it. And once we know how to engage the research process and the tools that we have available to us, it is definitely something that we can avoid. Now, to avoid plagiarism, it's important that you take good notes and keep track of your sources. Okay, there are three ways to use information while you're doing your research. You can summarize, you can paraphrase, or you can quote directly. It's important that you document everything. Be sure to identify the source of the information on the note taking worksheet that you should have established. Include your author's name, book title, website, magazine name, article title, page number, everything to identify the source information. If you seek to summarize, you must reference the original source. Your summary should be shorter than the text that you are summarizing. You must use your own words, usually with very limited use of quotations. When you're looking at paraphrasing, again, you must reference the original source. Your text should be shorter or it can be longer than the original text. And again, you must use your own words. When paraphrasing, you translate all of the content into different words. Okay, this helps you to understand the material as well, and it records the author's reasoning and details. Paraphrasing, however, can be time consuming. So if you choose this method, um, be sure that it's something that you want to do. And also, we spoke to quotations, and here you must reference the original source. The text produced is actually the exact length of the original text quoted, unless in some instances you have ellipses used. You must use the author's exact words. There's no paraphrasing, there's no summarizing, and you must put them in quotations. There are guidelines based on citation formats, and that will be dealt with a little bit more in depth during the semester. You must also include the page number of the source from which you borrowed the author's original language, and you can introduce quotes with paraphrases. For example, if we say, according to Bob Jones, blah, 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 or Bob Jones stated. Now, how do we cite? There are a number of citation formats out there. We have APA, MLA, Chicago, and some others. But here, I am showing you the more popular citation styles, which provide particular formats for your in-text citations and bibliographies, works cited that appear in your research. So APA, the American Psychological Association, is used by education, psychology, and sciences. And we have MLA, which is used by humanities, English, art, history, philosophy, music, religion, etc. What is included in these styles? You have rules for the preparation of your term papers, and these would be the standards on how your paper should be set up, your font type, your margins, your punctuations, etc. Also, guidance on the use of language and standardized formats for your references and your citations. Again, we are talking about ethical use of information and how we can avoid plagiarism. Why do I have to cite? It allows others to locate the materials you use in your research. It gives you credibility as a scholar and also protects you from plagiarism. So, what are the common elements of the APA and MLA citation? You have your in-text citations and also your list of references and works cited. Rules: all in-text citations must appear in the references and works cited list, and all your references must have been cited in the text. This helps you to ensure that everything listed is accurate. For your in-text citations, they are like footnotes, only easier. You use an in-text citation anytime you use someone else's idea. They appear at the end of your sentences where the information is used and list only the author and the date of publication in most instances. Remember, your in-text citation again points to the list of references or works cited page, and that is why they can be so brief. And your list of references and works cited page, this is where you give your reader specific information about where you found your cited or paraphrased content. So, what is important here is that you know what to look out for and what to document. So, you want to figure out what type of resource you're looking at. Is it a book, a journal article, web page, television program, movie, someone you interviewed, a picture? And then you go to the section in your rules, your citation rules, that covers that type of resource and further identify whether they're one, two, multiple authors, no author, a corporate author, or a book chapter with no author but book and has an editor. There are many rules that govern the citation format. And finally, you want to follow whatever example is available. Exactly. You want to pay attention to your capitalizations, punctuation, spacings, everything. Okay. And we see an example of what is there and what you should do exactly. So, some helpful citation websites would be the OWL resource at Purdue University and also the APA and MLA style website. Once you have defined a clear research question and you're aware of how you are to use your information during the research process, what information you are to make note of specifically, it's important that you plan and manage your time wisely. So here we're going to go into some time management tools that are available and support services and resources. Effective time management allows you to remain focused on the research and makes you more productive. And you're able to minimize factors that drain your time, such as procrastination and interruptions. So, research sometimes involves working with a significant degree of autonomy. Sometimes you're independent as opposed to a group, and you have large blocks of unstructured time. And we know that it is important that we meet deadlines and juggle our short and long term goals. So you would want to set research goals, prioritize them, and monitor your performance or how well you're moving forward with accomplishing those goals. You have to be disciplined. And the great thing here is there are a number of resources available to assist you with this. Now, I am going to show a screenshot here, but I will also go to the live pages after the presentation. So we have the University Writing Center, um, and they also have the student research paper assignment calculator. The library has prepared a LibGuide that allows you to access these resources. And like I said, I will take you to the site specifically. So you have that available to you. You also have library liaisons that are subject specialist librarians assigned to each school to assist by answering any research questions, sharing information about our resources and services. We're also available to offer presentations and demonstrations of our new library resources or the existing ones and services of interest to any academic department, and also direct patrons to the best information source. Besides our subscriptions, we also have the option for interlibrary loan. And so we're here to make sure that you get access to the information that you need. We also have library guides, which are subject specific information sources. And our librarians and staff have worked to produce a list of research and topic guides to assist users in their research experience. So these resources are also available from the library's site. Before we go to questions, I am going to stop sharing the presentation and go directly to our websites. Okay, the first tool that I spoke about was the LibGuide that was created for the university's Writing Center. And this would be the student research paper assignment calculator. So we have a number of links that you can click and also a paper that you can use to set out your goals and see exactly what tasks are needed to complete your research. So there's an assignment calculator at the University of British Columbia. And if you were to do a research paper, just to show you how it works, let's say you get an assignment and you enter your start and your due dates. If you select Calculate Research Paper Schedule, this gives you a schedule of tasks that need to be performed so that you can stay on schedule in submitting your assignment on time. So you would see here by Friday the 15th, you need to understand the assignment. On the 17th, select the topic and it shows how much time is spent, 5%. Then you need to understand the scholarly context, and this is for a research paper, critically read and summarize, evaluate sources, again, a different date, and you see the time spent. So these are good research tools. We also have one that's at the University of Toronto. Here, also, you would enter your start and end dates. But with this resource, you're able to select the type outside of the two options that were in the previous resource. You have research essays, literature review, annotated bibliography, lab reports, or there are a number of options, even graduate school application that you can select using this resource. So we selected annotated bibliography. Again, it gives you steps and dates, deadlines, and these assist with helping you to manage your time and keep track of what you need to do. Same here. All right. I also mentioned that there was a paper that can be used, and this is how it looks. And this one is a bit different, where you're going to specify the time, the type of assignment, sorry, the number of pages, what kinds of library materials are required, And here, for each source, you generate a list of terms you're going to enter as subject and keyword. So this will help guide your process. For reference assistance, you have the information there. In the presentation, we spoke about library liaisons that are assigned specifically to schools. And so a LibGuide was created for the same. And here we can see which librarians are assigned to each school. So you're able to select the name of the librarian here and go ahead and send an email. Or you're also able to schedule an appointment with that librarian through the library's webpage. And how you would do that, you'd go to the university's website, select academics and UB libraries, and that takes you to the library's page. I just want to point out that you're able to chat with librarians and library staff online throughout the day. And should you wish to make an appointment for your class for a one-on-one session or to join any of our instructional sessions, you're able to do that here. But more specifically, as I mentioned, if you want to access or schedule an appointment with any of the librarians or library staff, you're able to do that by selecting the name and entering the time and date that you would like to meet with that liaison. Finally, I want to draw your attention to the library's LibGuides. So what I'm going to do is I just went back to the library's page. Under our reference tools, you will see library guides, and that takes you to this page where you get a list of our subject and topic guides. And what this does is this helps anyone with basic steps and walks you through the research process for specific subjects. And I will click on one of them. There are also course guides listed there. And so you're able to see where you would go to access books and ebooks, journals and articles, websites specific to the topic, any facts that may be available, and you can also get technical help. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and entertain any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Shanada, for giving us a good overview of trying in how to help those who needs assistance in trying to start their research, especially in determining the research question, and also ensuring that they're using the correct source and referencing it correctly, and finding the help that is needed, because we have a lot of assistance, and we want to encourage more people to use the library to the fullest. So before I open the session to the students for any question, can I hand over the session to Miss Ballance, who want to say a few words on the discussion today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Vic, Dr. Vic. And thank you, Shananda, for a very interesting, thorough, succinct presentation on identifying a research question, on the ethical use of information, the importance of citations. We'll get deeper into that topic at another session. And of course, walking our users through some really helpful time management tools. Now, they are useful for students, for graduate students, for faculty who are writing to a deadline as well. It's not just for the undergraduate trying to get a paper out in time, but for all of us. And also making telling us all about the excellent resources that we have available to our students, faculty, and staff at the university. So we shall entertain some questions.
Yes. So if
Please.
there's any question, you can raise your hand and use the electronic hands there, and I can unmute you to ask your question, or you can just post your question in the chat forum.
I think one point that needs to always be made, all our research begins on the University Library webpage. All the links, because the resources that we have access to have to be authenticated through the webpage so that we know that the users are valid and are have university username and password to get into the databases. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You can't just go to EBSCO on the internet. You have to go to EBSCO through the University Library webpage.
There's a question. There's a
that is
question
correct.
there. There's a
Yeah.
question by Stephanie.
Hutchison.
Yes.
I see that. And
Yeah.
and what is important to note is that when you do log in to the library's resources off campus, what you would use is your UB email address. The entire email address has your username and the password for the same. You do not put in your network ID if you're a staff or employee. You would use your email address. For example, mine is shenanda.hinsey@ub.edu.bs.
Yes.
You're
and
welcome.
yeah, that's a point which many times the students would email me, I can't get on, and I find out they've only put their name dot surname, not the whole email address, or they're trying to access EBSCO from the internet directly, which, you know, it will pop up if you search, oh, I want to search EBSCO, but you have to go through the web page. We direct everything through the web page. More questions?
Maybe you can also speak on what are the other services that the library provide when you have, let's say, the UB library do not have access to certain publication or certain books or certain resources. What kind of what kind of services that we provide in order to get access to articles from other resources, from other libraries?
Shenanda, do you want to answer that?
Sure, it's fine. As I mentioned, we have an interlibrary loan service where if you are requesting an article, let's say you're looking for something on EBSCO and it's not available in our subscription database, we're able to request that article for you and get it to you as soon, article or book, as soon as it's available from that institution.
Often, if you're searching EBSCO and there's no link to the full text, there should be a link to order this item on interlibrary loan. And you click on that, you fill in your name and your email and your ID number, I think, whatever. And it populates it with the author and the title and publication information. And then it goes directly to our interlibrary loan department, and they will take it from there and email you back when the item arrives. It's a service that's free. I believe it's still free.
So this
Is that not so?
this service is only valid if you are subscribed to a certain database, or let's say, as you say, we may have subscribed to EBSCO for from certain year to a certain year publication, so we are able to still use this service to actually get articles that are may not be within that period that we have subscribed to. But how about if we are not subscribed to the database, to a particular database at all? Can we still get access to the files through this interlibrary loan?
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
As long as, yes, because we would then just put in the information and send the request to another library.
Okay. Any more questions from the students, especially to make use of this session today? I'm sure you may have certain challenges along the way. So please feel free to ask your questions.
If you don't have questions now, just remember, if you use the library's webpage, you do have access to librarians and staff who are available to answer your questions throughout the day. And you are able to schedule appointments with specific individuals. As you would have seen, we have instructional sessions that are going to be and are available throughout the semester. And so we're here for you. You do not have to feel isolated. Any questions you have, we are available. I'm seeing a question. Can you list the colleges that was up that helps with the research paper? That is available on the University Writing Center LibGuide. So if you go to the library's webpage and you go to LibGuides and you select the one for University Writing Center, you will see all of the links available to you there.
Yes, and that's another point is don't forget the University Writing Center. They are also a valuable resource for you if you're having trouble getting your thoughts on paper, writing a good outline, that kind of thing.
Okay, any more questions? All right, if there's no more question, don't forget, feel free to contact the library resources whenever you have any issue. Feel free to email any one of us if you need any assistance or any direction of how to get access to certain information. Not just during this session, but anytime, during any period of time, you have all our emails. So please do write to us if you have any further questions. So thank you so much, Shananda, for facilitating the session today. It was an excellent session. Thank you, Miss Ballance, for giving your input in the session today. And also, thank you for all of you students and faculty members and staff who have dialed in today for this session. Do not forget we have another session, in fact, next Friday, that is going to be focused on literature review. So please feel free to register yourself for the session if you want to get access to the presentation file and also the recording of the session today. So have a good weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you again on Friday next week, same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.